Hello again. This is the updated vehicle wrap project walkthrough instructions, and I'm going to show you what I expect you to do and how you can complete this project for the assignment for the class, the Illustrator Basics class, Fundamentals of Instructional Design Software. That I'm teaching for University of Idaho here in the fall 2015, And the project requirements again are: number one, you are to create a vector outline of a vehicle while tracing a blueprint with the pen tool, and I'll show you how to do that. Also, create a design of artwork to go on the vehicle. I will also show you how to do that. And then 3, create a clipping mask of the outline to show the design as a vehicle wrap mock-up. And again, I'll show you how to do that as well. First, you will want to pick a vehicle file and open it in Illustrator. If you've chosen one that I provided, the files are already laid out to complete the project, and that is in the download section. The vehicle project files of the BBLearn class file place. Otherwise, if you want to follow along and you're not in the class, or the lesson has the course has expired, or for whatever reason, here is the link to that, and I'll put it in the description below. Whoops. And so you will download the file. I'm going to just put it right here on my desktop, and once it's downloaded, then I will open it up and show you how to do that. I will give you I've given you an alternative if you want to use your own file and want to know how to set that up. I've got another video that I've created, and I'll put a link in the description, and you can follow that. The instructions is about 15 minutes, and it'll show you how to put together the file so that it is in the same format and set up as the files that I've created for this project. So go ahead and look at that if you want to. Otherwise, we will get started here in just a second. I'm going to switch over to my desktop and open up the Illustrator file. Okay, so I put mine on my desktop. You would have saved yours wherever you'd like. So I'll simply open up that archive, and here it is. And within here there are 10 different vehicles. I've got a good variety. I've got some freight vehicles, some sports cars, and actually a motorcycle, and 2 oldies, some classic cars. So there's a good choice or a good variety to choose from. Pick which one you like, and if you don't want any of these, again, there's the other tutorial to show you how to pull one that you may prefer. All right, so I will choose actually the Ferrari F599, and just simply double click that file to open it up and size it to however your monitor fits best, and then we will get started. First, I'm going to resize this artwork to fit my window, and that's Control-Z on a PC, Command-Z on a Mac. And then the first thing to do is to save the file with a specific file name structure. This again is only for my students in the class, and so here it is. It'll be last name, first initial, vehicle -2015.ai. So for example, I will save this as, and that's Control-Shift-S or Command-Shift-S on a PC or a Mac, excuse me. And I will, for example, if my name were James T. Kirk and I had the Enterprise, it would be Kirk J Enterprise -2015.ai. Well, I guess I don't need AI in there twice, so there it is. That's what it would look like, and I would save it. So in my case, that's not what I have, so I'll be Hayworth R F599 hyphen 2015. All right, so I'll save that and all of the defaults there. Okay, so the only other thing I will say about saving is to save and save often. And if you're in my class, you'll know I say SASO, save and save often. Why? Because I say so. All right, you don't want to lose your work. Let's keep it saved. All right, so there we go. Now on to the project. First, we will go to the design layer. And you can see I have my layers open. If you just opened up your file, you may not have the layers open. So just hit F7 or go to the window and down to layers. All right, so let's go to that design layer. That'll be the first layer that we're going to work on. And in fact, you could, if you would prefer, turn off the outline layer by hitting this the little eyeball visibility icon, and it doesn't really matter. There's nothing there yet. All right, so now what you're going to do is create the design that you want to display on the car on each view. So remember, we have the side views, the top view, the front view, and the rear view. So these are all going to be separate. Well, they'll be the same design, but I'll show you what I mean here. So think of it as what you want to appear on the vehicle, and don't worry about going over the the vents or the wheel wells or door handles or anything like that, the badges, anything that's on the vehicle that you want to not be part of the design. Don't worry about cutting around that. We'll do that in the next step. And so basically you're just going to be creating colored shapes that will lay on top of the vehicle. So again, each view will be a separate design. So for example, you will do one design for the driver's side of the vehicle, and then you'll flip that for the passenger side. And that'll be the same process if you want to flip front and back or whatever. I can show you that. However, each view will have a separate vector object to make up their individual designs. So this will have one object here or group of objects, and this will have one object or group of objects, as well the top and the front and the rear. Okay, so there are some things that you need to consider for the design. Don't worry about getting super accurate with the vehicle shape for each view. Anything that's overlapping the outline of the vehicle is okay. We will cut that out in the next step of the project. So you can use shapes, colors, gradients, anything that you feel comfortable with using. And if you, I'll show you how to do all that. And then if you choose to use type in your design, just be sure that not all computers have all the fonts that you have, so you'll need to convert those to outlines. And we cover this way ahead in week 6, so module 5.2, and that's going to be after the draft of this is due, but you can look ahead on the videos. I've got some video lessons for that, and that again is module 5.2, talking about turning type to outlines. And so you can go ahead and look at that if you need to use type in your design. And then also, if you choose to use type, make sure to note that going one way it'll be readable, and then if you flip it, it will be unreadable because it'll be backwards, so you'll need to make that adjustment. All right, So I will show you quickly here a design pattern, and we'll get started actually doing some design for this wrap. So first I'm going to get the pen tool and again make sure that I'm on the design layer. I'm going to make a rough outline around the vehicle, and again, it does not have to be accurate. It doesn't have to match up with those lines. We will take care of that in the next step of the design process, which will be focusing on the outline. And for that, you will need to be as accurate as possible. So here is a shape that goes around the vehicle. Let's say I want to make it the Vandal Gold color for the University of Idaho. I have that in a file that I've opened recently. So what I'm going to do is just eyedropper that color using the eye for eyedropper tool. And that gives me the Pantone processed color, which is awesome, or the Pantone spot color, excuse me. I want to use the process color, which is 0, 20, 50, 30. That'll be easy to remember. So I will change this to 0, 20, 50, 30. And there we go. We have the gold color. And I'm going to take the stroke off because I don't need it. Okay. So what else could I do? I could get the pen tool, go back to the default colors, swap to make black the fill, and turn off the stroke. And kind of give it a nice swoop. That's cool. I'm going to copy that shape and paste it in front. And this time I'm going to make the fill a white color. So now I kind of have this stroke, or this thin, or this thick line kind of looking thing going on there. Let's instead go with a gradient, and we'll turn that gradient 90 degrees. Maybe go the other way. No, I like it the other way better. We'll tone that gradient down though, so it's not quite as harsh. There we go. Somewhere like that. Okay. Now, since I have it, might as well go grab the Vandal logo. This is not in accordance with the branding and style guidelines, but you know what? I'm just mocking it up for fun. I don't need to save that. I've copied it, and we'll paste it. And so we have the big University of Idaho Vandals. Apparently they didn't do too bad against USC, so go Vandals, right? All right, so here's my design. I could do some other things to it, but at this point I don't really need to. Let me show you what I mean, though. This is the passenger side, and let's take that and copy it. And instead of copying it, let's use the reflect tool. We'll double click that, and you see that by default I have it set for vertical, so it'll flip across the vertical axis, so it looks like a horizontal flip. That's fine. We'll make a copy of that and then drag it down over this other shape of the vehicle. Now that's awesome, except for one thing: my Vandals are backwards. So we'll flip that back the other way. Just hit OK instead of copy. Again, you can see on the preview that that's what that does. All right, so now I've got the basic look of this design for the one side and the other. If you want to see what it's going to look like on the vehicle itself, select that. Let's turn it into a group. We'll do Command G on a Mac, Control G on a PC. And we'll talk about groups, and we'll talk about layers, and we'll talk about all of these things coming up in the lessons. So if you're not sure what I'm doing, just hold tight for a second. A couple of weeks, in the next couple of weeks, before this project is due, we'll go over all of that. So anyway, I just grouped it together, and I'll go into the transparency and change this to multiply. And then you can see where the outline of the vehicle is underneath. So that's pretty neat. I'm going to ungroup that. Oops, I didn't want to ungroup. I wanted to enter isolation mode and change where that logo sits so that it's on the side of the car, not over the wheel. And anyway, let's just delete that just so we have no more confusion. All right, so we've got the Ferrari. It's a Vandals Ferrari now. So anyway, that'll be our design. And so you'll do this for each of the designs, or each of the views. So you've got the side view, the other side, the top, the front, and the back. And you'll go through this process and create the design for each of them. So at this point, rather than bore you with the monotony of creating this whole design over and over and over again for each of these views, I'm going to speed up the video and just let it record while I go through each process. And then I realized things that you're going to want to look for from a design perspective. So as you can see in this view, the top of the car is this gold color, and it comes down to about the point where the front headlights are here, just past the front headlights and on around this back layer here, just in behind the rear headlights. So I could basically just take the whole car and just get that same color again by using the eyedropper tool, and go back to the rectangle tool, and I could just drag around that shape, and I'm pretty close to what that design is. I'm going to go back to the multiply view or blend mode so I can see it. But then you also see that I have the black that you can see through this part that sticks out in the front of the nose of the car, and then also here on the tail end. So I could just take that, I could lay that out as part of the design, and so I think I'll do that. And for this, I'm going to want to be a little bit more precise than I was doing with the other. So what if you get some part of your design that you can't see through because it's so dark, and you can't see the outline that you're trying to match that part of the design to behind it? The easy thing to do is simply take off the fill and stroke color. And as you zoom in, you can see where those anchor points are that you've dropped, and you can modify them by using the pen tool and the direct selection tool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now to correct the insides of this design. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I don't have all the time in the world here because I'm showing you basically a rough of how this can be. And as you can tell, I'm using the shortcut keys as much as possible to manipulate and change and modify this shape. So once you've got the design shape that you want, and then you're ready for adding the color that you need for it, just make sure it's selected, and then you can pick that with the eyedropper tool. And I'll do the same back here on this end. So we'll start with a no fill, no stroke design or setting on my color, and then I can just drag and draw around the shape that I want to make this design follow. And again, you don't have to do this. I just know that there may be times when you want the design to follow, you know, the shape of the vehicle that you're trying to make the wrap of. So there it is. Again, eyedropper to pull that color. If you don't have it already created, then of course you would pick the color from the color swatches and stuff like that. So that's good enough for that top view. The only thing I want to add that I don't see in the side views would be, say, a racing stripe across the top and then putting the Vandals logo. So racing stripe is actually fairly easy. That's simply I'm going to switch back to white with the black fill and just drag a rectangle down the length of the vehicle, kind of in the center. I think that's it. Excuse me. And then I want to make sure that this one is in front of the stripe, because I want the stripe to end at that point. And so we'll do that with both the front and the back. And there we go. I think that's it. Let's grab that Vandals logo. There it is. And how's that? I think I like that. I may want to put something on the rear view, you know, kind of said University of Idaho or something like that, but I can always do that on this view over on this side. So now I'm going to take, well, wait, I was going to take the design elements from these these three views and add them to the front and back, but I'm going to save it first. Make sure you save often. Okay. So now I need to take the elements from this front or this side view and put it in the front view, and you just keep track of where things line up. So on the front of the vehicle we have the black stripe that hits at this point right there, and we have this gradient that goes across the bottom. So maybe we'll build it up in that. Actually, we'll do it the same way I did with the other. We had this top layer that goes through from the top of the vehicle all the way down about to this midpoint there. So let's add that. And again, we don't have to be very precise around the top, and I think I'm hitting right there at that line. So let's go right there. And bring it around. Grab the eyedropper tool to get that color. Make sure we're on the, so it shows through. Now you may be noticing that this gradient from the side view is overlaying on top of this. That's fine. It won't be part of this group once I add it to the mask, so it won't show through. We'll be just fine. Okay, let's go next with the black color, and it's about that thick, I would say. And of course we need to make it black. Not that one please. Looks like you need to fix this anchor point handle there. Okay, and then we can go with the bottom. So the bottom goes from there all the way down to the bottom of the vehicle, and from there it kind of follows that other one. And we will pull that color from there. All right, so that's the front view. The rear view is going, whoops, we forgot one thing. I added the stripe and the logo, so let's get the logo and the stripe, and we'll just copy and paste and rotate those so that they go right there, and it's behind. Let's see if we can move it this way. Step back, there we go. And it doesn't need to be that tall, so that's ridiculous. Okay, and then look at the perspective. This is going to be very sloped back, so let's take the logo. I'm not meaning to double click there. And it comes about at that point, but it's really kind of squished looking from the front. So let's do it right there. Awesome. Okay, let's take this and this and this and the black and drag those down here. Now the difference is it's actually going to sit higher. The gradient is going to sit higher. We definitely don't need that all the way up there. The gradient is going to sit higher because right here it's just below the taillights, but it comes at a different angle here. So let's change this path to more of a curve in that direction, an arc, and bring that up behind it. Let's just move it back one. And we can change these 2 points by dragging them down. Okay, I think I've got the whole logo or the whole car laid out into its separate groups. So what I'll do is I will select each view's, all of the objects in each view, and group them. So group the front, group the back, group the top. Did I already do that? I already did the sides. Okay. So now you can see kind of how the design is going to lay on the vehicle as a wrap. All right. Next, what we're going to do is turn off the visibility of the design layer, and we'll start working on the outline. And that is a little bit of a different process. It's going to be more precise, and so I'm going to show you that next. Make sure to save. Let me step back 1 second. As you look at the design layer, you've got your design, and each view has its own individual group. So the rear view, the front view, the side view, the other side view, the top view. You can see that when I select it, it's a group, but each individual group is its own group. So nothing from the side view is going to be part of the group for the top view, and vice versa, and etc. all through all the design layer. Okay, and then don't group them all together after they're, all of these groups together. You don't want that. You want each individual view to have its own group of objects. And I think I just bumped it. Yes, I did. Okay, so don't move it around either. All right, so moving on to the from the design layer, let's toggle off the visibility of the design layer, go to the visibility of the outline layer, and then click on the outline layer so that is active. And let's hit save and make sure that you're on the outline layer. So what you're going to do in this step is we're going to create the outline of the vehicle in each view separately. And there's a best way that this is going to be done, that you will end up with a compound path. And I'll show you how to do that, so be sure to watch the video, or this video, if you have any trouble with it. So here are the steps. So the colors we're going to set to no fill, and we're going to pick a bright colored stroke. In this case, I think I'll go with a bright green. That should be helpful. All right, I'm on the well, no, because my outlier, any artwork that I draw on the outline layer is going to be the anchor points and the handles and everything, all the vector shapes are going to be in green. So let's pick something opposite green that we'll be able to see. How about a nice fuchsia? This right there. Okay, so I'll use that color as my color for the path. Again, this is not going to be the color of the design, so do something that you'll be able to see, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm drawing here, and you can see the green of the points that I have, but then my artwork is this bright pink color. So that way I can tell what's artwork that I'm drawing, and it shows up against the outline of the blueprint layer. All right, so that's our colors. The next thing we're going to make sure to do is use the pen tool. In this task, you're going to become very familiar with the pen tool, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. When I use the pen tool, I always go with A for the direct selection tool and then P. And the reason is so I can draw, and then if I need to pick up or move a point as I'm drawing, I just simply hold down the Control or Command key, Control on a Mac or a PC, Command on a Mac, and then I can manipulate that line very easily without going back to the pen, and I don't lose any time doing it. And it gets to be really tedious if you have to switch back and forth each time you need to stop drawing and manipulate something and then go back to the pen. Okay? And we're going to use the pen tool exclusively for this project. No shape tools, no curvature tool, none of the other tools, not even the pencil or the brush tool, because the pen tool is the hardest tool to use, and it's the one that you need to be the most familiar with because it's probably the most useful tool in Illustrator for drawing things. So that said, that's the requirement. Suggestion, if you use a different tool, it's going to be very difficult. I'm just going to tell you right now. Because if you use, say, a shape or something, and you end up modifying or having to turn it into a compound shape without doing the steps that I'm going to show you, it'll just be more difficult and it may not work. And I've had some experience where doing it a different way has ended up in frustration with the project. So let's use the pen tool, and I will show you how we're going to do that. So I'm going to zoom in here on this side view of the vehicle, and I'm going to turn off my layer because I don't need that shown anymore because it's pointless here. I'm on one layer and I'm going to stay on it. All right, so looking at the vehicle, you can see where there are the lines for the outline, and we're going to go around, completely around the outline shape. And you may cross over things, like in this case I just crossed over the muffler, and you may have points where you'll need to adjust. I'm having some difficulty here getting some precision, as you can see. So in order to get more precise, I am going to turn off my smart guides because they like to snap into places that I don't want them, and it's difficult if I'm trying to get a specific angle and it's trying to snap to something that I've done previously, and you can see that there. Alright, so to turn off Smart Guides, it's Control U, Command U, or down on the View menu down to Smart Guides and just turn them off. And then I'm also going to turn off the Snap to Point. So for the remainder of this section, the outline, I'm just going to speed up the video and not talk about what I'm doing. Okay, so bring it back to full size. Maybe not quite. Maybe zoom in a little bit. Alright, so you can see that, let me deselect there. You can see that I have a pink outline around the body of the car. I've got the window here in the rear view, or the rear window that I have left out of the mask, or the design, excuse me, the outline. And then also the front excuse me, the front windshield. Also this portion of the headlight that you won't see as part of the outline, and then also the grille in the front. So the next thing we need to do is remove the areas that are going to be cut out and not showing the vinyl wrap. So for example, the windows, the rear window here, the door handle, this vent maybe, the tail light, the muffler, the wheels, and the wheel well inside, and this one, the badge, the side marker, and this vent here. So how I'm going to do that, I will show you. What you need to do is, if you've been following along and you've got your outline just like I have here, what you'll want to do is continue to follow along, and I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to use the Pathfinder tool, and that will help us to create a compound shape that has this outline but then has some pieces removed from it. And how we do that is, the first thing we'll do is we will select the outline, and you can just do that by holding down Command and clicking on the edge of the path, and that will select the outline. So the next thing we'll do is swap the colors. We have a stroke. We have a very vibrant color stroke. In my case, it's this magenta color, but we want a fill instead. So hold down Shift and hit X, and as you see, now I have a pink vehicle, or magenta vehicle. And so this helps us so that we have a shape that we're going to remove some shapes from. Okay, so from here on out, what you're going to need again is the Pathfinder tool, and it's right here on this panel. In order to bring up that panel, you go to Window and down to Pathfinder, and it has a shortcut key, but my students know I never remember it, and partially because I'm on a Mac, and in order to hit the function keys, the F9 there, I'm going to need to hit another key, so it's to the point where I'd just rather go to the window and find it. And for me, it's usually sitting up there anyway. I use it quite frequently. So anyway, it's Shift Control F9 or Shift Command F9, and that will bring up the Pathfinder tool. So we'll use that. Before we do, let's go to the transparency panel, and that's this one right here that looks like two circles, one on top of the other, and we will just change the transparency, or excuse me, the opacity down to 30%. So you can simply double click and type in 30 there. And now you can see that it's a faded vehicle, or excuse me, a faded shape over the vehicle with the outline that we had. So what we want to do is go through and create shapes in the outline of the shapes that we want to remove from this shape, and I will show you what I mean, because that's kind of confusing. Alright, so we'll start here at this window, and in order to do that, let's zoom in. And again, I'm zooming by holding down Command and the space bar, because that's the easiest way to do it, other than using my tablet. It has some control on the scrolling feature there. If you had a mouse and you want to use your mouse, just grab your mouse, and if it has a scroll wheel, hold down Alt and scroll that wheel. If you have touch functionality on your screen, there's other ways to do it. Anyway, that's what I was doing. I was holding down Command and Shift or Space bar to bring up the zoom functions. So now that we're close, I can see where the window is. It is right here at this point, and so I'm just going to start drawing, and you can see that the shape that I'm making is more opaque than the background. I need to actually make that a little more curved there. And so I'll just bring it to that point. We're going to go around the rear view mirror here, the side mirror, until I reach the bottom. Follow that curve, and there I have it. So I've got this window shape that I just created, and then I have the main outline shape. And you're going to do this step by step. What you're going to want to do is create the interior detail shape, for example this window, and then you're going to follow this next step with the Pathfinder tool, and then you will create your next detail shape. So I'm going to hold down Command on my Mac, it'll be Control on your PC, and click on that shape that you just created, and that will select the whole shape. And then if you hold down Shift while you have Command or Control held down, if you hold down Shift, it will toggle your selection. And so just click on the outline that you created, this outline shape that you had in the background, and then come down to your Pathfinder tool and do minus front, and you can see that it cut out the object that it was in front. In this case, it was the window. So if you'd like, you can modify your shape a little bit. You can make adjustments to it, or you can simply deselect and then move on. For example, I'm going to do that with this vent shape, and again you can see that I'm making an opaque shape over top of the outline shape that I have in the background. And when it's all done, I'll select it, hold down Shift, select the outline, and then hit the minus front on the Pathfinder tool, and that's cut out as well. And so I'm going to speed this up here and show you the rest of it in a little quicker mode. So you may notice here on this one that I went way outside the outline shape, and that's okay. I'll show you why. because we're going to subtract everything in front. So let's select it, let's select the outline, and you can see where that overlap is, but with minus front it doesn't care. It's just going to take away everything that might happen to be in front of the other shape. So it didn't matter that I went over the or outside the outline area. As long as I do minus front, it'll take that section away from it. So I'll do the same back here. Okay, so now I have this view all completed with the outline in the way that I want it. Now what I need to do is to complete do the same process for the front, the back, the other side, and the top. However, as you notice, the other side is a simple case of using the reflect tool, making a copy, and dragging it in place, making sure that it's as close as I can get it. I think that's pretty good. Yep, looks good. Okay, so now I'm done with the second side, and I will speed up the video as I complete the other ones. I actually think in this case I'm going to paste in the vector from a previous version of doing this just so I don't have to go through it and do it all over again. I think I'll just do that to save time. All right. So with all of the vehicle view outlines complete, you're ready for the final steps. So in this, we will convert the outlines and designs into clipping masks where the design shows on the vehicle by using the outline cut off of the areas, or to cut off the areas uncovered by the vehicle wrap. All right, so we'll see that. So here's what we'll do. First, we'll turn on the visibility of both the design and the outline layers. And next, make a copy of the completed outline layer and the completed design layer. So now you should have outline copy, outline, design copy, and design in your layers panel. So we will turn off both the design and the outline copy, or excuse me, the design and the outline layers. Turn off the visibility by clicking the little eye icons. So the next step is going to be using only the selection tool, and we're going to be on the outline copy layer. So click the outline copy layer, single click is fine, and then choose V on your keyboard for the selection tool, and then we're going to drag a selection just across so you can select both the outline and the group of the design that you created. And it should look something like this. And the next, there are a few different options you can do. You can go up to the object menu and down to clipping mask and hit make. And I'll show you another option here on the keyboard. Select them both. There is Control 7 or Command 7 on a Mac, and that will give you this version. Or you can select it and right click and do Make Clipping Mask. So there's quite a few options that you can do, And for the rest of these, I'll just do Control 7, Command 7. It's the easiest. And now you should see all 5 views with their own vehicle wrap mask. And again, mine are showing through with you can see the color behind because I had it in the multiply mode. And so if you don't see that at this point, select all of them and go to multiply, and then you should see the lines below, and so it'll look like the wrapped color and design is all on the vehicle shape. Okay, so make sure to save, and then those are my students. Make sure to submit your completed file in the assigned Dropbox in BBLearn before the due date. So thank you very much, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you were able to successfully follow along here and make your mask. Now, a reminder, this final step that I showed you where it converts into the clipping mask, only do that when your design is complete, when you're sure that that's what you want to do with your design. Because I'll show you, if you start going in and editing things inside your group, either in isolation mode or ungrouping things, you may not like the result, because now this one is a little bit different than that. So make sure if you do something to one view that has an impact on another view, like moving the logo around, make sure you do that for both views or all views where that might be pertinent. So just keep that in mind. And then also you need to make sure that the masks and the hierarchy of everything, the design, everything all stays in that order and in that format to get the credit for the assignment. All right, thank you, and enjoy your vehicle wrap project. See you later.